So, Teo, just coming off that same question. So, Prince mentioned the technology and we can definitely see that coming in because Rwanda is very much a culture that is embracing international culture. But not all of Rwanda is the same, right? You have a definite divide between Kigali and the rest of Rwanda. So, can you address that to me? Outside of Kigali, do you feel like the idols, the modern day idols, are the same? Or what do you feel like people put in the place of God outside of Kigali?
I think since Rwanda has been destroyed during genocide, everybody began to look for something new. That kind of weighted our appetite, to grow, to change, but we didn't know what to change into. So we become people who are so hungry for change. We just don't know what the change is all about. So even if you go to the village, they're talking about development, but they're not thinking, developmental way, I guess. They are just thinking of things coming, stuff, big buildings, nice roads. That's what is in the people's mind in the village. But they're not thinking about developing their mind because they don't know what that is. They've never seen it. They just know you were born, you grow, and you die. But you get to see things happening. That means before I die, I will see a 5-story building in my home village. That's what they call development. So they kind of think the village people in Rwanda, because the lack of education, the lack of knowledge, they really don't know what they want. They just expect somebody from above to perform a miracle, and they will enjoy it. So they are very nice people, very easy to lead, because they actually expect the leaders to do something. So they love the leadership. So ever since I was a little kid, we just loved our leaders. And we didn't know they were bad. They were actually killing one by one, and we still worship them. So today you have this mindset of development, but based on what Western world looks like. So people are worshiping development too much. If you go buy land, maybe you're Mzungu, they think development has come.
What's a Mzungu?
You.
Yeah. I guess that would mean me too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you too. So basically, they see somebody with white skin. It has been that way for a long time. It's just a person with money. It can't be poor if you're white. So they will probably treat you differently than they will treat me, a local guy, because it's all about money. So people worship money that they will kill for it. That's the lack of knowledge what money is all about, and they worship. People here worship technology, like Brother Prince said, but it's also coming on TV. I grew up knowing if you have a TV, you're a rich person. So everybody wants to buy a TV to look rich. If you buy a car, that's extra rich. That's a super rich. If you build a 2-story building, that is too much. That's your extra rich, So people set their minds to that. And that's where the Rwandan culture is so destroyed, because what you see on TV is what development is all about. Then you begin to see sexual behaviors, because that's all what's on. I don't know what is going on in the media world all over the world. The sexual scene is one thing they promote the most, and it becomes a heavy idol to most people. So it didn't used to be that way in Rwanda. It came with the technology. because what they see through technology is what they embrace, and then what they train themselves into. It used to be that you go to the village, even the city, uh, the women dressed properly and they respect themselves. Actually, Rwanda and culture respected women a lot. But these days, we begin to hear the issues of gender because women begin to rise up in the wrong way, and then they kind of cross the boundaries of men, and men begin to flee, they begin to self-defense. It became chaos. It all came with technology. So now people sit in the front of TV looking for sexual exposure videos and movies, and it's in a city, it's in a village. Then you start to get premature pregnancies. Marriage has been destroyed all over the country, and actually we get people to teach about that. They actually teach encouraging sexual sin. It's the world has changed, so it's hard to imagine what Rwandan culture is anymore because the prince came from outside the country. He came with a culture, you know. And Zaki comes from U.S. He brings another culture. You come from different place. You bring another culture. So we observe. We choose what is good, but it's not really good. We forget our own culture. The Rwandan culture was almost perfect. It just needed a little bit of knowledge, but it didn't need to be destroyed. It needs to be sustained right now. So the too much of modern idols comes through technology, TV, media things, WhatsApp, Facebook, and now you can't talk to people anymore. I think this is more global, but it starts from Western world. It comes to us. The bad thing here is that our role model is Western world, but it's no good.
Now,
So,
I've heard you speak before about an animistic worldview, and I've heard you apply it to village life in Rwanda. That you have many people who will go to church, but then if they're sick, they go to the witch doctor. You testified to that as well, Prince. Yes. So would you consider that an idol more in the villages than in Kigali that is keeping people from fully stepping into Jesus?
I think every place have its own idols. In the village, they stick to the old tradition,
Okay.
witchcraft. You know, when there is no gospel in a place, the devil is there and he's preaching. So that's what the Rwandan people knew from beginning. They knew witchcraft. We knew witch doctors in our neighborhood, and it was bad. So when you go to the village, people seem to cling to the old ways because that's what they see, hope, but there's no hope. It's just the only way they know. If you come to town, people seem smart, but they still have the old ways more developed. I guess it's a developed old ways. So when you don't know Christ, you know something else. You just don't belong to nowhere. When it comes to worship, everybody worship. Some people may agree with me that they worship, you know, Satan, they worship Jesus. There are some people who will say, I just don't get involved into this. So in Rwanda, you have a lot of people claim to be more like agnostic, but when it comes to spiritual life, they are more animistic, which means everything happens. It happens for a reason. It's originated from a spiritual being. It's the devil or it's God, but they don't want to believe either side. So that's how animistic worldview works, is basically people don't have a responsibility in anything. If I stumble, fall, break my leg, that's probably the devil. It's not like the road is bad, I need to change a thing around. If the rain stops coming, it's probably the devil, because the devil does a lot of bad things. But that's it's not the case. So if the rain comes, everything is all right, that's God. But the people have no responsibility. So we have that in Rwanda, and the people have no escaped from believing something, but they are not bold enough to say we are worshiping this way or this way. If you come to the city, people are like that. If you go to the village, now in Rwanda they know there is a God, so they say, well, we believe in a God. We're actually the children of God, but they don't follow him, which is following his ways, pursue the righteousness of God. That's where the famous word comes in the hand, salvation, saved. I've been saved. I've been saved means that I go to church somewhere. So it's hard to establish a true Christianity, which is to follow Christ, to become a disciple, because people are so stuck in a mystic worldview. They don't know which way to choose. Like I say, they worship money, so they think if the devil brings money, they will follow him. If God gives them money, they will follow him. That's why you have all kinds of false teachings. It's based on money. Prosperity gospel, I think it works much more here in Rwanda, in Africa, than it is in the Western world. Even though it comes from that world, but here, people lost hope. They think they can find it in the money. Money becomes an idol, and most people are stuck. They will take money wherever it comes from. So they don't care if it's a God or Satan, because they never learn about the eternity. Eternity really means nothing to people here. One means something is where they can get bread now.
Yeah.
And in Rwanda, we have lived that kind of life, of now life. We don't think about future. That's why you don't find people investing in anything. They don't save money on their saving accounts. People don't even know the saving account exists, because you're saving for what? We don't know if we'll be there tomorrow. So that becomes it's a careless life. Then the whole nation becomes an accident waiting to happen someday.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I think there's been a bunch of things that have been said that have been very interesting, and also just trying to share kind of like a Burkina Faso, Ghana, and then coming here type of perspective too. And I think we all can agree as Christians too that no matter what outside antagonist may be pushing in on the church, or this ideology or that ideology or whatever it may be, at the end of the day, every problem that is associated with the church can be laid at the feet of the church. Our failure to articulate to the people what a Christian is supposed to be, what the church is supposed to be. That's why we have young people that are distracted and finding their identity in their iPhone, finding their identity on YouTube, finding their identity from the hip-hop artist that is singing all these songs and all of these kind of things. And I get it, I mean, it speaks a message that maybe certain people can identify with or not. But I think it all comes down to when you're finding your identity in something outside of God,